And the story is when I left college, I wanted to give back to my parents who kind of was helping me go to college. And they have a home decor and furniture business. So I committed 6 months post graduation to help them grow their business and open up new retail stores and expand their online presence.
Marcus, how are you?
I'm great, Rosie. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for being on my podcast today. We have Marcus as the fractional interim CFO and COO in our podcast today. Marcus, before we dive into your CPA journey, can you introduce a little bit more about yourself to the audience?
Hey guys, my name is Marcus Rien, and I am from the upper Midwest, the frozen tundra, also known as Minnesota. I love to golf in the summertime, and I love to get out and snowmobile and snowboard in the wintertime. Come on up and hang out anytime you'd like to. I love to meet new people, and look forward to reaching out to you hopefully in the future.
Awesome. I know I met Marcus at AI's Leadership Academy, AI CPA Leadership Academy, and he's pretty awesome. So if you are in the area, you definitely should reach out to Marcus.
Minneapolis, it's a great place to be.
Yep. And we had a great time for AI CPA Leadership Academy. So people should check it out as well. But Marcus, let's start from very beginning in your CPA journey. From when you start in college, why did you decide to go with the accounting major?
Well, truth be told, I did start out my college career wanting to go into golf course management. So I was getting my business degree, and I met a very inspirational accounting professor, and she said, "Well, if you'd like to make a lot of money someday, work your butt off for 4 years, get your CPA license, and you'll do just that." And halfway through my freshman year, I had my major switched, and then started my CPA journey.
Did you enjoy accounting classes at all?
Yeah, she was a very good teacher. So I kind of grasped the concept pretty easy. But let's be honest, those early classes, you're talking about debits and credits. It seems pretty easy in the beginning. It got a little harder in the end, but I still like accounting.
That's good. That's good because I got to the accounting because my mom told me so. And luckily at the end, I was like, it's not too bad. It's
It's
pretty
not
good
too
to
bad.
follow and pretty easy to pass the class. So I'm just stuck with it.
You're a natural, Rosie.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. Now, after you graduate with the accounting degree, you start your first job at Universal Hospital Services. It is in private or industry accounting. Now, my question for you is that most of the time people are advised that, hey, you should start in public accounting first. So, what motivates you or what drove you to decide to just jump straight to private or industry instead of public accounting?
Yeah, that was a bit of an accident, so to speak. And the story is when I left college, I wanted to give back to my parents who kind of was helping me go to college. And they have a home decor and furniture business. So I committed 6 months post graduation to help them grow their business and open up new retail stores and expand their online presence by building a website and expanding their e-marketing. So that's kind of where I spent the first 6 months of post college, and so you might say I've always had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit to go out and do that. And after 6 months, I said, okay, I've done a substantial amount of work for you guys. You guys are on a good track, so I'm going to go start my career. And so I moved from the small town of Cold Spring, Minnesota, down to the big city in Minneapolis, and looked to start my new career in accounting. I didn't quite know where to go. The traditional track was to get a job out of college, and so not really knowing in 2011 what I should be doing. It wasn't the greatest of economic times, but was able to find my way into a company that was formerly called Universal Hospital Services, and it was very attractive because it was in the healthcare space, and I had a connection to go work there temporarily, and through good luck, a spot opened up, and I was the front runner for that, so it worked out pretty well.
Wow, so you worked there for about almost 2 years as an accountant. What did you like the most working over there?
Yeah, I mean the business was doing very well, so that usually helps the bonus at the end of the year. But I was given really strong autonomy early on, the ability to go into what was being done before, rebuild it all, and improve upon it. We were also at the same time migrating the reporting system that we were using. So my one of my main responsibilities was to convert our old reports from a legacy system to a new system. So in that process, I found a lot of inefficiencies in what we were reporting, and so I was actually able to help drive the quarterly reporting package down from 120 pages to about 13 to 15 really concise, meaningful pages for the management team.
That's pretty good. You must be so proud of yourself. Say, oh my God, I make it so much better.
It felt great to be able to cut out a lot of the noise and create a meaningful package. Yes.
But you know what? At that time, you were still pretty young. And I'm just curious how people look at you when you were that young age and then you were able to make that so efficient. Do people,
Well, like you have that curiosity, I also had that at a young age, and I think that that's kind of what drove that. I was a curious individual, wanting to know what really mattered to the company, what really mattered to the management team, and then I was able to bridge the gap between the finance and operations and put together some meaningful reporting.
that sounds pretty awesome. That it seems like you work pretty independently, that you don't need to lean on too much on other people and you find a better way to do it. And so after 2 years, you moved to Marsden Services for about almost 3 years. What made you decide to move, and what did you learn the most in the next job?
Yeah, so I do find the importance of working in a team environment. I certainly need the larger team's perspectives and to be able to drive how I work independently. But I was able to do a lot, pick up a lot of stuff on my own. So given that I kind of was progressing so fast in that role, and there not being a lot of upward mobility in that company at that time, I was looking for another challenge. So I interviewed at this company called Marsden for a senior accountant role, where I was going to be overseeing multiple companies with inside of their portfolio. And I acted as basically a pseudo controller for those companies and consolidated the reporting up to the management group there. And I was able to basically become a controller at a very young age, which was kind of fun. It meant I got to move from just the accounting aspect to really influencing how management looked at the business, not just reporting to the business, but how they look at it.
That's pretty cool, being a controller at a very young age. And in a big city, did you make a lot of friends when you moved to a big city at that time?
Well, Rosie, you know a thing or two about me. I am very social.
Very.
you know, some people look at the big city and they say that's scary. There's a lot of unknowns, and I look at the big city like there's a ton of opportunity. So I jumped into so many social circles and sporting events. I was big into sand volleyball when I moved to the city, so I met a lot of friends there. But I just like to get out and meet new people and network. So moving to the city, I just fell in love with connecting with people.
Yep, I remember because of you doing that AICB Leadership Academy, you made me a little bit drunk and got me in trouble that I literally went to every single table during the dinner and zo to every single table. And I was like, oh no, Marcus, what did you do?
That's right.
But
We had a pretty good time. I did enjoy going Zoe every single time, but
so, yep.
just for the audience, to be fair, I think she had about half a beer, and it didn't take much for Rosie to get a little rosy in the cheeks.
Yep, yeah, and it's funny that I have a little bit of beer and I even have a cup of water on the other hand to drink at the same time, and still got a little bit drunk. And my husband, like, I pick up the call to talk to him, and the first sentence he asked me, "Are you drunk?" And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not. I just feeling so good."
Absolutely, it was definitely a fun time to cut loose and and yeah, have a good time for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to show the audience how social Marcus is. He can make a person from like not drinking that much at all to become a little bit drunk and then feel silly all night.
Just a half a beer though.
Yep, just have a beer.
Just
Yep.
a little bit. You have to know your limits, and I'm glad we found yours at that limit. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it was a great time to get out and socialize with other Leadership Academy folks, and I still, you know, some of those experiences, just networking, and you know, it's been great to be able to maintain those relationships, and I wouldn't have had I wouldn't have had these friendships today, like Rosie here, if I hadn't gotten to that Leadership Academy and you know, just kind of, you know, let myself just kind of have fun.
Yep, I know. Well, just for people who listen to the podcast only, not watching this podcast or this video, when I say cheers, it's just the way how Vietnamese people say when I say zo, it means how Vietnamese people cheer when you drink. So you know like why they say zo, what does that mean? It means cheer, but it's just like zo. It's just funny. Yeah. So get back to your CPA journey. After you work at Marsden Services for about 3 years, and then you move up to the controller, and then wow, and then you work at Regis Corporation, but you also work at Not in Our City 5K as a CFO. Look at you.
Yeah, that was a nonprofit. So, Not in Our City was a nonprofit that raised awareness and brought resources to anti-human trafficking initiatives in the Minneapolis area. And at that time, the Super Bowl was preparing to happen here in our city. So we were able to interact with the community and other organizations to bring awareness, do some fundraising events, and try to help where we could against those human trafficking efforts. Which you know it was an important part of you know giving back to the city, and it was an incredible experience, and you really learn a lot. So I would say to anyone that's walking through a city, you know, just walk through a city with an extra open eye. If you see something that looks out of place, say something, because there's a good chance there's something going on right in plain view, and no one is just recognizing it. So I think that's the biggest takeaway I had after that experience. But it was fantastic to be able to give back, and I'm really proud of the difference that we made. So that was a part-time thing while I was working at Regis. You know, I worked in their risk management area, and yeah, I enjoyed working for a large corporation. I got to see how things were run on big systems, which unfortunately were on black and green screens still. They hadn't really migrated off of AS400, JD Edwards product, and it was all keyboard movements. So if you guys like your mouse, really enjoy it, because there's a time where we were operating a screen with a keyboard.
Really?
Absolutely. Yep. It was this thing. This is how you moved your mouse on the screen. This is how you moved your cursor with just with the keypad or hotkeys. There was no mouse, so there's some old systems out there still.
That's really cool because when I was in audit, we try to not use the mouse and just use the keyboard only because we had to work in the client's office, and so we don't want to bring too many items with us, so try to minimize as much as we could. So yeah, we had to learn all the shortcut in the Excel or the shortcut in the laptop. That's really cool. But yeah, working on keyboard only sometimes it's challenging, but sometimes it could be fun. I agree. I also noticed that you also work at BDO. It is public accounting. Did you make the twist to change from private or industry to public accounting?
Yeah, that was one of those career moments where I realized I wasn't being challenged enough in the roles that I was in. So I thought, why not? BDO, it could be good, you know? And so I made a pivot to public accounting. BDO was the fifth largest global accounting firm at the time when I was there. And I worked in their advisory practice. So I was in their outsourced accounting and controller and CFO services there. So that was really exciting. I got to work on a lot of different projects. I even got tossed into some compilation agreements and some review engagements. as well as some tax trial balance preparation. So I kind of got to see a lot of things between tax and audit and advisory, even though I was sitting in the advisory function. So it gave me some great exposure to all areas of our profession from the public accounting standpoint.
What do you see the most difference between all your prior jobs in private accounting comparing with a BDO job in public accounting?
Interesting question. The work is definitely the work hours are definitely a lot longer in public accounting. In private accounting, it's a little more balanced. But in public accounting, there's definitely a bigger grind there. But you also had the opportunity to see and do a lot more, which I think is truly invaluable. I think that anybody that has the opportunity to get into public accounting, they should take it. You're going to learn a lot, and you're going to be able to see a lot of different industries, see a lot of different levels of industries, and really explore a skill set that you wouldn't get just sitting inside a single company. That being said, I really do support small business accounting. I think that it is an overlooked. I think it's an overlooked career path in colleges, and I would like to see more colleges talk about small business accounting.
Yeah, small business accounting, especially when there are so many mergers lately. And so people get nervous like, I don't know if small business and accounting going to survive when big accounting firms just keep merging smaller ones, and it's constantly happening every single day. It's not just like, oh, this month, next month, or a month later. So that's something that I'm looking forward to as well, to see more small business in accounting. That could be great.
Yeah.
It's a huge growth market over there.
One of the concerns I have with all the mergers happening is I'm concerned that we're going to start to see pricing pressures on those smaller businesses not being able to afford the CPA firm services. As we consolidate, we might see prices increase to meet certain new targets of that new business model. And so I think that's going to create a gap, and you might see more small businesses not being able to get the help and the resources they need when they need them most. So that is something that I'm trying to keep an eye on as I pursue my career and see where I can help there.
That's amazing. And I know that talking about your career that you want to pursue after you work at BDO for 2 years, you became the controller in private accounting again. Seems like you feel like, oh my God, public accounting is not for me, even I learn a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great opportunity to go to a client that I had at BDO. They had hired me on to build out their back office, and it was a solar developer startup for a private equity backed company. And I was here in Minnesota. It was a lovely pandemic time, so everyone was working remote anyways. And I got some real exposure into some international too. Our CEO was in the UK. Our COO was in the United States, in Boston, and that's where the corporate office was. And it was an opportunity to really do everything from scratch. I had full autonomy to build the back office up, and I got to learn a lot about HR, a lot about compliance, a lot about 401k, payroll, accounting systems, benefits, and reporting in a new industry that I hadn't seen before. And it was really fun because I think renewable energy is an important part of the broader energy system in our country. It's not going to be the only important thing. I think we need energy from all sources, but I got to learn a lot in an area I didn't know anything about.
Yeah, and we circle back right before this position you mentioned about small business in accounting. And you work at this company for 3 years, and then you decide to go out and do your own. And is that because of strong motivation about business, small business in accounting, that you want to give yourself a chance and opportunity to grow your own small business in accounting?
Yeah, I think it goes back to an earlier comment I made about always being entrepreneurial. My parents had a small business. I've always had a drive to kind of have that spirit and to be able to build something. So, it was a great segue actually, leaving that company. We had a nice 60-day exit period, and was able to train in a new controller, and I'm fairly certain she's still there today. So it was a great position, a great company, and I was happy to start my new journey into entrepreneurship. And I think that where I felt strongest based on the experience I'd accumulated over my career, that I was ready to step into that fractional CFO and COO role and really help companies grow from where they were. because I had worked in large companies and in that last example, in a startup, I had really seen everything cradle to grave, big and small, private and public. So I felt like I was armed with all the information needed to be successful.
Yeah, this new journey seems to open a lot of new doors for you. And so I know that you care a lot about the profession, about how we can grow this profession. You are very actively involved with the state society and also like AICPA engage or AICPA conference, a lot of activities that you try to put yourself out there to improve this profession. I want to hear some thoughts about from you. What do you think about this profession? Where this profession going in next 5 or 10 years? How can we improve this profession?
Yeah, and I think it was this is part of a personal growth and development. And a lot of my career was focused on me and what I needed and what I wanted to do. But as your audience may know, you were a Leadership Academy attendee and a graduate, and that's where we met. That's kind of where my journey started to think about my profession more nationally, instead of locally, more broad than that. And I started to reflect a little bit in the following months past that experience and realized that I had been given a lot from the profession. My CPA license means a lot to me. I'm very proud of it, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that are proud of theirs too, and they're trying to figure out where their best use of their license is and where their joy is and what makes them get up every day to go to work. And so I started to think about what kind of impact can I have on the profession, what can I give back, and how can I help things. For those of you that have heard, there's a pipeline discussion going around. A lot of people are working tirelessly to help bring more CPAs into the profession, and it's fantastic. I love to see that. I know that there's a lot of levers to pull to help solve that supply demand imbalance that is part of that discussion. And so while I saw a lot of that happening, I saw a strong focus on the attraction to bringing new people into the profession. And I thought maybe I could give back a little bit differently. Maybe I could focus on something that could help CPAs stay in the profession. Individuals that realized that public accounting wasn't for them, or they were burnt out, they were considering another career outside of the profession, and I really wanted to help CPAs stay in the profession because I think our license is so very important to the economy and to the work that we do in every company. It perpetuates itself into local communities, to the larger regions, and even into 401ks. The health of the company is pretty important, and we play a big role into that.
Yeah, talking about highlight issue, I feel like it's a hot topic. But people also say that, well, it's not just because of accounting major, because of the population decrease, people go to college less, and also people go take finish the degree in accounting less as well. It's not just 100% because of the accounting issue or accounting career or profession. So that's
Right.
that's something that we want to look at as a big picture as well, not just a small picture. But you also mentioned that it's also like personal development, that you want to help this profession nationally, not just locally as well.